Jesus, that Subaru's seen better days. What up, everybody? Grom Trooper here. Just checking in with you on this wonderful November afternoon. Today I wanted to talk to you about buying a used motorcycle, because you should spend your money on that instead of a Subaru with half the cargo door missing. So there's a couple of different ways to go about buying a motorcycle, and first I'm going to talk briefly about buying a new motorcycle. And it's a process that, you know, if you've ever bought a new car or a new motorcycle, you'll be pretty familiar with. It's pretty standard across the board, and you know, it's something that if that's the route you want to go, you know, more power to you. I know a lot of people, including myself for a while, refused flat out to go buy a brand new motorcycle from a dealership. You know, it's overpriced, etc., etc. You know, nothing comes from the factory the way you want it to, you know, so on and so forth. And you know, I've in recent years changed that mindset, particularly between buying the Grom and buying this. You know, both of those were kind of eye-opening to me to, you know, there can be good dealer experiences out there, and that's something that if you're looking at, you know, a bike that you want the latest and greatest of, it's an option, and you shouldn't dismiss it immediately because some people are like, oh, new motorcycle, blah, blah, blah. You know, now the thing that it comes down to for a lot of people is you've now decided you're going to buy a new motorcycle, right? And you're going to a dealership. The question then becomes, are you going to finance through a third party, through the dealership, or are you going to buy it outright in cash? And you know, each of those has their benefits. Personally, I recommend, unless you're trying to do something to fix your credit or whatever, if you can buy it cash, man. That's one less monthly payment you have to worry about, and then, you know, down the road, that money you would be spending on monthly payments, you're not tempted to spend on modifications to the motorcycle. So that's my spiel on that. Now, when it comes to buying a used motorcycle, there's a couple of avenues you can take. First and foremost, you could buy a used motorcycle from the dealership that you're in. And that's something that I recommend for a lot of people, especially if you don't know what kind of motorcycle you want to buy. Regardless of whether you're going to buy new or used, you should start by going to a dealership and sitting on a couple of different types of bikes. They're generally very accommodating about people wanting to do that. They're not just going to glare at you, be like, hey, you know what, I'm looking to buy a new motorcycle. I don't quite know what I want, or maybe it's even your first motorcycle. And you can tell them, hey, I want to find out what fits me and what fits my style best. Because ultimately, you want to make sure that you're comfortable on your bike, right? Like, if you're not comfortable when you're on the road, you're going to be a hazard to yourself and a hazard to other people. And nobody wants that. You know, right? You don't want to be the guy that's out there riding around on a Gixxer when really what you wanted is a cruiser style bike that you could bar hop on, right? So take your time, do your research, but ultimately go sit on some different bikes, because you may get there and find, hey, you know what, I thought I wanted a cruiser, but this dual sport straight up feels amazing. So take that time and go and find something that fits you the way you like. I'm a prime example of this. I've been a cruiser guy forever, right? But you know, every day more and more that KLR 650 is starting to tempt me, because just because of what it's capable of, right? And again, I'm a cruiser guy and I own a Grom, so you know, you're not completely, you know, chained to one style of motorcycle just because that's what you're drawn to for the most part. So keep that in mind too. Keep an open mind when you are shopping various shapes and sizes of motorcycles. Is that Miss Frizzle? I swear to God, that was Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. Anyways, moving right along. if you're going to buy a used bike from a dealership, there's some benefits to it. You know, you're probably going to get a warranty on it. It's been inspected by a professional mechanic. I'd like to think that most dealerships aren't super shifty and trying to tell you, or trying to sell you something that's not mechanically sound without giving you a heads up about it. I'd like to think that motorcycle dealerships do better business than that. Now, that's not to say that, you know, Joe Schmo motorcycle shop on the corner is going to be completely reliable, but, you know, be smart about your decisions. That's all I gotta say. Now, let's say that you've gone to the, you know, Big Four or whatever new motorcycle dealership, and they don't have what you're looking for. That's fine. Here in Albuquerque, we have a multitude of used motorcycle dealers that's all they do is used bikes. They don't bring in new stock from a manufacturer, and as a result, they have a interesting mixture of brands and you know, styles that you know, might not see at a standard dealership, or your Harley dealership, or your Big Four Japanese, and all of the other small brands that I'm forgetting that I'll get berated for in the comments. So if you've got a dealership that does particularly used motorcycles, I encourage you to go check them out. That's where I found some of the best deals and neatest motorcycles I would have never ever considered to purchase is at those dealerships. So that's something I certainly encourage everybody to do. All right, so now we have come to the last and scariest option when it comes to buying a used motorcycle, and that is purchasing from a third party. And I know that some people will refuse to do this, and rightfully so, right? You know, there's sketch people out there, and they're trying to get one over on somebody, or they're trying to sell something that's stolen, or, you know, just not in good working order. But I would like to think, especially from my personal experiences, that the majority of people who are selling used motorcycles have the best intentions. Either it's a bike that doesn't fit their style or their life, or, you know, whatever anymore, and they want to see it go to somebody who's gonna appreciate it as much as they feel like they did when they first bought it. Because, you know, they bought that bike for a reason, and, you know, most people don't just go out and drop a couple $1,000s on a motorcycle and with no intention of using it or anything. Now, that being said, I did hear a story about a guy who bought a brand spanking new BMW and made the dealership drain all the fluids from it because all he wanted it for was a display piece for his living room. But most people aren't like that. So, you know, trust in the best intentions of people, but be smart. If you don't know mechanically about motorcycles, when you go to look at a used motorcycle from a third party, take somebody with you who knows what they're doing. Just like you would do if you're going to go buy a used car, right? You take your buddy who wrenches on stuff and go, hey, you know, do you see anything that looks out of line? You know, what do you know about these particular model? Is there anything I should look out for? Spend some time browsing forums for common issues with that motorcycle. Often you'll find that, you know, whoever you're buying the bike from is actually taking the time to fix a lot of the stuff that's commonly wrong with the bike. And that's a huge benefit, right? You could have an upgraded clutch pack, or replacing bad fuse boxes, or anything that's fairly common for that model that would, if you bought it new, ultimately become a problem for you. So do your research, know what to look for, and don't be afraid to ask questions about the bike. You know, the person you're buying it from probably just really motivated to sell it, and they'll happily answer any questions that you have. So just ask the questions and know what to ask. And again, if you don't know what you're talking about mechanically with the motorcycle, take somebody with you who does. It's not going to hurt anything, and they'll be more than happy to help you out. I know that amongst my group of riding friends, there's easily a dozen of us who are just like, yeah, like if you're ever going to go look at a bike and you're worried about it, come grab me and we'll go check it out together. So just something to be aware of and to have in your back pocket there. So really, those are the ways you can go about buying a motorcycle. Oh, one more thing. If you are buying a used motorcycle from a third party, get the title free and clear in their hand. You know, if they don't have the title, that's always a huge red flag for me. So that's something that I certainly encourage everyone else to do as well. So don't buy a bike without a title unless you're literally just buying it from parts, because either chances are is it's been shuffled around, traded, or worst case stolen, and that's just not a headache that you want to have to deal with. So keep that piece of advice there. If they don't have a title, don't buy it. So really that summarizes the ways you can go about buying a motorcycle. New from a dealer, used from a dealer, used from a used dealer, or used from a third party. Now, if you have particular advice for people that are going to be buying motorcycles that you want to share, put it down in the comments, please. Any best practices you have for buying motorcycles. I think the more that we put tools in new riders' toolboxes for how to do it and how to do it right without regret, the more new riders we're going to have on the road, and the larger our motorcycle community will be. And ultimately, that's what our goal is to get as many people as we can out here on these wonderful two-wheeled machines that we have, and you know, keep this hobby going.